What's up, Gaming Outsiders? I'm back, and on this week's episode, Zack, CB, and I answer questions from all of you guys. I've also got 2 games I played this week, Super Magbot and Astalon Tears of the Earth. We've also got a ton of news that happened this week, including Kojima talking to Microsoft, Sony picking up studios, and the possibility of commercials coming to video games. No thank you. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 353 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It is Monday, July 5th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Zack Parkerson, the hostest with the mostest. How you doing, man?
I don't know about that. I think it's widely regarded as the worst episode in podcast history.
No, dude, I listened to it down in Florida. It was great. I enjoyed it. I have to finish it. Admittedly, I did not finish it yet, but I planned to. It was really good.
We had like 900 pre-recorded reviews, so it was a lengthier one.
I gotta stop doing that. That's my fault, not your fault. I had all the pre-recorded reviews set up. But also joining us, Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
I got a present for you when I was in Florida.
I know you did.
Well, not a present. You paid for it, but I found you something for your collection.
I know.
You want to tell everybody what I got you?
What was Slapshot and Wonder Boy for the Sega Master System.
Yes. I went down to a store in Bonita Springs, Florida, when I was on vacation. It was a video game store called 8-Bit Hall of Fame. It is the coolest video game store I've been to in a long time. The organization made me happy in my pants. He had everything so well organized. It was great. I loved it. I picked up myself a copy of Donkey Kong Jr. Math on NES, along with a manual. It's very expensive.
That sounds pricey.
It actually is a rare game, believe it or not.
That's what I just said. I was agreeing.
I thought you were being facetious. I'm sorry.
No, I was being genuine. I know it's a rarity, but
okay. Yeah. And so we got CB his 2 Master System. Sega Master System, right?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. I never owned one, so I'm a little familiar with it. Kevin is rolling over in his pod. He's turning off the podcast right now. And I also got, I don't know if I told you this, Zach, but I also got 2 Zelda games that were not in my collection.
How is that possible?
I know, dude, I don't have all of them. But when they released the original Zelda and Zelda 2 on Game Boy Advance.
Yes, I do. I owned those when I was a youth.
Yeah. Box copies, complete in-box manuals, everything. I got both of them now. They're both on my collection, so that's good.
That's pretty exciting. They did not have a copy of Shadow Hearts Covenant. I know that.
They did not. I looked for you. But
I appreciate that.
Here's the crazy thing. I was talking to the owner of the store, and whenever I talk to somebody and they say, hey, where are you from? I always just say Chicago area, because nobody knows where Rockford is. that doesn't live in the area. CB, I don't know if I told you this or not. So the guy's like, oh, that's cool. I actually grew up in Rockford. And I was like, get out of town. You lived in Rockford? I was like, I'm actually from Rockford. And he's like, yeah. And then he told me where he went to elementary school, because he left like when he was 7 years old. But the last school he attended in Rockford was where I taught 5th grade my first year in the district. So it was like, what a small world that this guy is from Rockford. But anyway, check out his store. If you are in or around Bonita Springs, Florida, which is near Marco Island and Naples, I highly recommend 8-Bit Hall of Fame. It is a fantastic store, and his name is Jason. He's a really good dude. So that was a good time. It was a lot of fun. And while I was on vacation, guys, did I get some use out of my Switch? I used my Switch a lot in this past week, and
that's one of the games pretty much what it's designed for, right?
It is, and it's weird because I had my Switch here all the time, but at home I just like to play in front of my TV, right? But obviously not having that option, having the Switch, I fired up Rogue Legacy, which is a game I beat on Xbox a long time ago. But I had bought Rogue Legacy on a sale for $5 because I was like, someday I'm going to want to play that portably. And lo and behold, I wanted to play that portably. And so I got about 3/4 of the way through that game again this past week. And that game is still phenomenal. I have a feeling that would have been my game of the year if I were doing game of the year list back when that game was released, because it's amazing. Absolutely outstanding game.
I do have a question about your vacation.
Okay.
Did you manage to make it a full 24 hours?
No, it's going to happen.
No,
it's going to happen.
Lies.
Oh, the phone thing.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Oh, it will. I've got 5 more months to make it happen. So
you were on vacation in Florida and you couldn't even make it happen.
Well, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Things happened, but I'm telling you guys, it is so good to be back. I feel like I haven't sat here and chatted with you guys in a month. I know it's only been like 2 weeks or whatever, but it feels like it's been a long time. I've missed you guys, so I am really happy to be back. CB, what have you been catching up on this week? Anything? Oh, I want to hear about this game.
Oh, well, other than the fact that I'm still continuously playing Binding of Isaac, I started in on Doki Doki Literature Club Plus.
Okay, so Zack and I have both played the base game, not the plus stuff, right, Zack?
Correct. I do have the physical copy pre-ordered, but it doesn't come out till August.
Yeah, I'm waiting on mine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, CB, honestly, when I recommended you to play this game, I purposely didn't tell you anything about it, and we're not going to spoil anything for people here, right? Right? Because people still need to play the game.
You say that, but like all the trailers for Plus give away the twist. Like they're not hiding it at all.
Yeah, they aren't.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the game was free. You didn't have to pay for it back when it was on PC.
And it swept the gamer nation and was memed to death and stuff. I would say most people at this point who had any interest in it would have known the twist by now. You know, people were let's playing it to death and stuff. I mean, we still don't have to spoil it. It's just, I mean, when you buy the physical copy, it comes with an item that will give away the twist right away, for instance.
Okay. Well, this is a game that I always treat like Frog Fractions. Like, you just encourage people to play it, but don't tell them why. And just trust me. And it's not as weird as Frog Fractions. Well, it is, but in a different way.
Yeah.
It's a grim.
But did you like it? That's the real question here. Did you like it?
It's unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is highly unnerving. When I hit that first moment, I was just like, what is going on? And then it just devolves into this like strange series of things. And so I've like, once I finish this game, like you sent me the links to where this dude breaks down this crazy theory,
which is insane, by the way.
And so you actually like watch like how they broke into the code on some of this. It's in the physical game. It's in the console version.
Oh,
like,
really?
You can go through and do some of this stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So I've been playing through that.
I got to ask you because Zack and I both finished it, but what's new with this new content? I know you said you haven't finished the new content yet, but what's...
So there's what's called Side Stories, which is basically a prequel visual novel that tells you how the club formed.
Oh, I almost feel like it's been so long we should tell people what this game is. I don't know.
It's a Japanese visual novel about you joining a literature club and things happen.
Well, there's plenty of cute waifus for you to choose from as well.
Yes, there are. I will say that. I was playing it when my wife came home and she's like, "What are you playing?"
Well, that's the thing. When I started playing the game and everyone said, "Man, that game is messed up. You have no idea what you're getting into," I assumed it was going a different direction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, "Hey, Natsuki, get over here."
Yeah, right? And it goes in a direction, but not the direction I was thinking it was.
Yeah, I can understand why it comes with the warning label that it does. Like, do not play. Right, this game is not suitable for children or easily disturbed people.
The warning was not in the original release.
Actually, It is.
No, it wasn't. It was not in the freeware 2017 version.
I actually have it downloaded because I never played it.
Well, I mean, they've probably updated it since then.
So, but it is there.
No, I'm sure it is now. I'm just saying. In the original 2017 release, it was not there.
Okay,
you had no warning other than you knew that the internet was way into it.
All I can say is I'm highly, highly surprised that Nintendo is allowing this on their family-friendly console.
Are we surprised anymore after everything else has been released on the Switch?
They have hentai versus evil with the full nudity sliders allowed.
But nudity aside, like this game goes some dark places.
Yes.
Like, really unbelievably dark.
It kind of makes me want to go back and play it again. You got it digitally, right?
It's on the Xbox.
Oh, it's on the Xbox. I thought it was.
That's what I played it on.
I thought it was Switch only.
No, it's on the.
I'm gonna have to replay that now.
Yes, and now there's achievements.
Team Salvato about to make
I
so
wasn't
much
even
money.
thinking achievements, man. I was just thinking I want to play the game again. So look at you.
But yeah, man, I'm still playing through it because there is the final achievement for this game is unlock 100% of data. Apparently, there's new things hidden.
All right.
Where not a single person has yet to get the achievement.
Interesting.
No one.
It's going to be like a Fez thing?
Well, everybody keeps referring to the 2018 game that was supposedly going to come out in 2020. Supposedly there's some new stuff hidden in this that's going to reference that, and no one has been able to find it yet. So I'm just curious to see. I'm still playing it. I'm halfway through all the side stories. There's 6 of them, and once you finish the 6, it unlocks a final and 7th.
Oh, okay.
So
I will definitely have to check that out. I'm in the mood to be disturbed again.
Yeah. So luckily, so far the side stories have not been disturbing yet. So I'm enjoying that.
I'm telling everybody, if you have not played Doki Doki Literature Club, do yourself a favor. Even if you don't want to play the new version, it's free. It's still free on Steam. Just go download it. It's about, 3 hours? If that?
Yeah, 3, 4.
Just know that it's not much of a game. It's a lot of reading and clicking. But
unlike most visual novels, it doesn't beat around the bush, because usually it just takes hours to get the story rolling, but Doki Doki it gets to it.
Yeps.
Yeah.
Did you say yeps? I did.
Yeps, you did.
Florida has infected you.
Apparently. CB, what else?
I've been playing a new game called Treasure Hunting Simulator because I know
what's
how
up
much
with the simulators. Like,
dude, I love sim games.
There's so many simulators. I saw a game called Hand Simulator.
Oh, believe me, I still want to find the power washing simulator.
Oh man, or the lawn mowing simulator.
Yeah,
soda simulator.
I didn't know there was a soda simulator.
Jacob Gunderson has the chair simulator.
Chair simulator. Yeah,
it's just sitting in a chair.
So what's Treasure Hunting Simulator?
It's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, except I wouldn't have called it Treasure Hunting Simulator. I would have called it Metal Detector Simulator.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my fear when you said Treasure Hunting Simulator.
Because that's all it is. It transports you to random locations in the world. So far, I've been to the Bavarian Alps, Slovakia, and Gettysburg. And all you do is just metal detect around for stuff. Peaceful music. It's not much to it. I mean, it's not like there's some crazy story going on. It's
what prompted you to pick this up?
I like peaceful games sometimes.
Okay. All right.
So, and I got it on sale. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And
Xbox?
Yes. It's on. It's always on Xbox, man.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I always just assume he's playing on Xbox unless he mentions otherwise.
That's true.
So,
I should have.
Well, I mean, Binding of Isaac, I am playing it both on Xbox and Switch. So
I'm back and forth. That's weird.
Yeah, you're too deep on this thing.
I'm really liking it. I'm over 350 items.
Does it have cross save, or are you really just playing through it twice?
I'm just playing through it twice.
All right, what a mad lad.
I really like it. Like, this is the first time I've really truly enjoyed a roguelike other than Dead Cells.
Oh, you just wait until we talk to new games later, man. I have a game that both of you need to play.
No,
I don't know. I know the one you're referring to, but then I started playing another Game Pass game with my older son AJ, Gang Beasts.
Okay.
Which is essentially a 4-player version of Fall Guys, kind of.
All right. I like Fall Guys.
It's a 4-player either like team co-op, like 2v2 or 4v4, and it's just survive the map. That's it.
Okay.
And it's just, there's like traps around the map. One of them is you're in like an industrial shredder room, and you can throw the other person into an industrial shredder.
Okay, I'm interested.
We were playing on another map that was, it was Matrix 2, like going down the highway on the top of the semis. So you're trying to like throw the other people off the semi.
Do you mean the Matrix Reloaded?
Yeah. Matrix 2.
Slap some respect on that trilogy.
It's okay. It's okay.
The best trilogy ever.
Oh, you need to shut your mouth.
It's the best movie trilogy. Absolutely. There's no question.
No, no, you're so wrong.
Uncontested.
OG trilogy.
The Wachowskis went 3 for 3 on that bad boy.
Oh, boy,
I feel like I need to punch you in the mouth.
The Matrix really is my favorite movie. Like, it just kind of snowballs from there. I'm sorry didn't mean to out myself. I didn't realize it'd be quite so contentious. I thought we had moved on from that Matrix hatred.
It's not a Matrix hatred.
I like really the first and second one were fine.
Matrix 4 coming December. You guys excited?
Yeah. Well, I'll be watching that. I mean,
I'll see that before I'll see the new Fast and the Furious. So
I saw that.
Also fun.
It was great.
Yep.
No,
everything I wanted.
I will not see it.
The only thing it lacked was Paul Walker, R.I.P.
Yeah.
He's the heart of that franchise.
Well, anyway, back to video games for a second.
Yeah.
So,
Zach, I heard you talk about Scarlet Nexus a little bit last week, and I knew you were going to like that game. I didn't think you were going to love it nearly as much as you did, especially after playing the demo, where you liked it, but you just were enamored with this game. How's that going now?
Yeah, it makes a great first impression. The story kind of... I just got done with the last chapter. I beat Yuito's story just before I got on the podcast tonight, who is the first character I chose. And just the last dungeon just drags. And so that killed a little bit of my enthusiasm. But I mean, the combat system, I think, just remains one of the most interesting combat systems in recent years. Like, I just had so much fun the whole time. And the story has a lot of different plot twists, and some of them you see coming, some of them you don't, but it's I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot of fun. The characters, your party members, really kind of started as a handful of anime tropes, but you do these little bonding episodes with them where you just hang out with them, and they really do flesh them out. It kind of reminds me, and then it always culminates with a actual on foot mission. And it really reminds me of the flow of Mass Effect 2, where you would talk to your compatriots and you eventually learn about them and something you want to do, and then you go do their loyalty mission. Mm-hmm. It felt very much like that. That was fun. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's really good. The one character's playthrough was 30 hours, so I'm really rather questioning if I'm going to the second character's playthrough, because that's just so much. And while
I don't know, man, Sean Fuller did it
already.
He's done both of them already.
Jesus, Sean Fuller of the Horribly Awkward podcast, of course.
Yes,
but it's like a diamond shaped kind of narrative, because the characters start off together and then they go do their own thing and they come back at the end. And I feel like I gathered enough from the other character's story where I don't feel like I necessarily need to play the other one. But you can also do a New Game Plus where you keep your high level, so I could probably just barrel through it a lot quicker.
Can you keep all this stuff for your new character though? Like if you play with the first character, does the second character get all the New Game Plus stuff?
It says you keep your level and your item, so I think you just start with Kasane at level 59 that my Yuito was, and you just unlock a bunch of stuff for her right away.
Gotcha. All right.
There's a lot of talk.
All right,
Scarlet.
There wasn't even in the demo, I believe.
Yeah, so I would say it's almost a visual novel.
Interesting.
Just a way.
I do want to hear a little bit more about Ghost of Tsushima, because I heard that you did something that I didn't even know we could do in this game.
The hell is that? What are you talking about?
Playing with other people. I didn't know there was a multiplayer functionality in Ghost of Tsushima.
You don't remember Ghost of Tsushima Legends? You don't remember this? They did a co-op mode. I want to say the tail end of last year, where it gets supernatural. You're fighting Oni and ghosts, yokai, and stuff like that. There was a beating, pulsating heart in the sky during one level that I played.
This is all news to me.
Very strange. Well, yeah. So it's been out for many months, but yeah, I played with Aaron from the Hollywood Outsider, and we tore it up, and it's a ton of fun. I would not have thought, the reason I never tried it is because I would not have thought Ghost of Tsushima would work in co-op. Mm-hmm. But they really do make it work, because there's 4 different classes you can play as, and each one has its own skill tree that goes a very specific way. And you're just very restricted compared to Jin, who could do everything, So you really have to work together more. Like, you can only have one stance. Remember, there are 4 stances that are like useful against certain enemies. So in the co-op, you can only have one of the 4. So you really have to kind of coordinate, and it's pretty tough too. Like, they're not holding back. Like, I think like the second level, they were already introducing, an enemy that can resurrect other ones. Like, they're not messing around.
So if you only have 2 of you and there's 4 different stances, or can you do up to 4?
Right. Well, I mean, you could also just, like, your other person could backstab, or, Aaron was playing as a samurai and I was playing as an assassin, so he would kind of distract them, and then I would sneak up behind them and just kind of like slit their throats, while they're distracting kind of with Aaron. So you can really work together in tandem like that. It almost reminded me a little bit of like the Splinter Cell multiplayer.
Okay.
Not all the way, because that's legendary, of course.
I thought about you today, by the way. There's like 3 Splinter Cell games on sale on Xbox right now, including the OG Xbox games.
They're all bangers.
Yeah.
Well, Pandora Tomorrow, and Blacklist, not at all. But it's a ton of fun. I really wanted to get back to it. It made me. I hopped back into Tsushima and did some side quests right afterwards, just because this was a great reminder of how fun Ghost of Tsushima is.
I agree.
But there was something about it restricting you that you are not in Jin, because by the end of the game, Jin is pretty much medieval Batman, and he's prepared for everything. There's something that was like, well, I only have like 4 arrows, and I can't pick up anymore, and it just kind of made it more interesting.
Survival horror almost.
Yeah, I mean, almost like Onimusha, but it was just. It was a ton of fun, a lot of creativity, because they go in full-blown supernatural, which is in stark contrast to the base game. I thought it was a great idea. My only thing is, like, they should have just made this a free-to-play spin-off called Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and I think people actually would have paid attention, because you're adding 4-player co-op to a single-player game 8 months after release or whatever. Like, that's not a very exciting proposition. But if you made it a standalone spin-off, I think you would have caught some eyes.
I agree. Interesting. Makes me kind of want to jump back into Ghost of Tsushima. I'm mad at myself for not going through and getting the platinum. Like, I was on my path to do it. Like, I did like 2/3 of the game, did everything on the map, and then just beelined the ending, because I wanted to see how it ended before year end, because we were trying to play stuff before end of year for Game of the Year discussion.
Yeah, it's kind of the unfortunate side effect of what we do.
Yeah,
is that you have to rush through things. But yeah, I was looking through the trophies. Yeah, it's a very attainable platinum. It just kind of takes patience.
Yeah,
but I know you love checklists.
I do love checklists, man. It's really good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump quick into the week's news, because we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, apparently this was the week for news. So much news dropped, so bear with me as I go through this very quickly. A couple trailers. First off, a game called Kingdom of the Dead is getting a release on PC early this year. A game called Dreamscaper is coming to Switch on PC on August 5th. That game looks really, really neat, by the way. Also, soon Sony is acquiring studios, including Housemarque and Nexus Software. Casey Hudson and Dan Houser have both started new studios. There is talk of TV-style commercials coming to video games. Speaking of Ghost of Tsushima, it's got a director's cut coming to PS5. And we are getting closer to a deal between Kojima and Microsoft. Yes, you heard that correctly. And then finally, Bloober Team and Konami have teamed up for basically what we assume is going to be a Silent Hill game. So much to talk about this week. Zach, let's start with you. What is tripping your trigger from this list of stories?
Well, I think we may as well address the biggest news item right away, right? Like Sony finally in the acquisitions game.
Mm-hmm.
That to me seems like the biggest news, more or less, because like Housemarque may as well have been a Sony studio for all the second partying they've done.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like that doesn't move the needle at all. I don't think they put out an Xbox game since Outlander for Ubisoft.
Yeah,
I think that might have been the last one.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Fun fact, that is the first game I reviewed for the Gaming Outsider.
Outlander?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the one with the 2 different colors, right?
Or I think it was just Outland, but yes. Yeah, it was
Outland, yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised your brain could wrap itself around that.
I know. Usually I have issues with the dichotomy issue, but that one, for whatever reason, it didn't. Yeah.
It was the artful. So, yeah, Housemarque doesn't really move the needle. But Nexus Software they do a bunch of ports. They were Square Enix's go-to port house. They put all the new Tomb Raiders and Deus Exes on PC. So if you were upset that PlayStation exclusives were coming to PC before, prepare to weep into your handkerchief because they are obviously doubling down because that's why you buy Nixus. There's no other reason you buy Nixus. Yes, I mean I concur, especially when it's games that have been out for years. Right, you already got the exclusivity period. What do you care that Horizon comes to PC 4 years later? Who's that? Right. I don't think either of these are major pieces of news. I do think it's funny that I think it was Sony Japan or Sony Europe put up an acquisition card for Bluepoint. So I think that announcement is forthcoming as well, because you don't accidentally Photoshop a Bluepoint title card. So
that whole story, I know you guys talked about it last week, but that whole thing is just nuts. I can't wait to see what that actually is or isn't.
You're thinking of Blue Box. Bluepoint
you're right. I'm sorry.
They're the studio that remade Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus.
Gotcha. I'm sorry.
So,
you're correct.
Although, again, they did remake Metal Gear Solid as well. Or the ports.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes already, CV. I know where you're going with this.
Well, no, I'm happy Sony's in the acquisition market. But again, none of these really seemed like big news to me. Again, you have one that's only made Sony games. Bluepoint has pretty much only made Sony games. And Nexus ports Sony games.
No, I know. I would have liked to have seen something big, like, we all want to hear big news, like Sony getting something as big as Bethesda. You know what I mean? Like, that would...
Right. I know a lot of people wanted to buy Square Enix, which would just suck.
Yep.
I think corporate consolidation sucks, so I'm glad they didn't buy anything bigger.
There you go.
I mean,
that's my
stance. None of these I'm surprised about.
I'm happy for Housemarque because it seemed like they were in financial trouble, and I know Returnal did not hit, so I think this is a lifeline I think Housemarque very much needed.
Yeah,
I agree. I think what's that game called again? Returnal.
Yeah,
I think Returnal's issue was the price point.
Yes,
100% if that game had sold for $40 or $50 even, I think that game would have done a lot better.
I think if that was a $40 game, it would probably still be a talking point. I honestly think that, because people that played it liked it, but it was just that's a huge paywall to get behind in our current market.
I agree. Yeah. So CB, I know you weren't too excited about Sony's acquisitions there. What from the news interested you this week?
Man, you just picked the news week that's just pissing me off. So, TV commercials and games, man.
Oh, see, that didn't even register in my brain. I just moved on.
Oh, no,
don't worry about this.
Happen?
I just don't care. I mean, I don't watch the ads in mobile games. Why? I don't really care.
But it's going to be irritating to me depending on where they put them. Like, say you're in the middle of a boss fight, and all of a sudden, boom, stops, and then plays a commercial. Like, I would literally just chuck my console out the window.
But they don't even do that for mobile games.
No, don't literally do that, please.
Aren't that intrusive. I just don't think it's that. Yeah, EA and Madden, right? Like, when you enter the online mode, it'll probably play a commercial or something. But like, that's not that crazy to me. I mean, it sucks because you're paying $70 for a video game. It's just, I don't know. I think it's not worth your anger, CB. There's better places to direct your anger.
Oh, I don't know, man. Just like even YouTube now, like every 5 minutes, I could be in the middle of watching something. It's just, oh, we're going to pause your video, play a stupid ad for something that you don't even care about, and then restart your video, which is even more irritating if you're listening to music, because it just kind of breaks that like immersion.
Well, that brings up the point I was going to make about if it's in a game. If it's something that does like at the beginning of a game before I start my session, okay. But if it's like during a loading screen, I'm watching a television style commercial instead, I feel like that's going to take me out. I'm not saying that games are fully immersive. It's not like we're living in these worlds, but I like being caught up in the moment. And being distracted with the commercial. If this happens, I'm going to be really upset.
I mean, I just couldn't imagine EA is going to throw a commercial when you step on board the Ishimura in the Dead Space remake. Like, I just don't think it's going to be that intrusive.
I hope not.
Well, it harkens back to the Ready Player One movie where they're like, oh yeah, we can fill up 70% of the screens before players like start hallucinating. And it just depends on how they, like, if they're going to do the commercials, how are you going to do it? Like, oh, I'm playing Madden and it's halftime. Here's a commercial break. Cool, whatever. Like, it's a pee break. For a
sports game, that's different, though, because I feel like a sports game, when we watch sports on television, there's commercials, right?
Yeah.
They're there anyway. My issue is if I'm in a game that is nothing but a story, that would be like the equivalent of watching a movie in the theater and all of a sudden it stops so that you can watch an ad.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that happening. If you think about it, to bring back the comparison that Zach was saying earlier, you're paying $70 for a game, and then you're getting ads, which almost doesn't make sense. Although anything that makes companies money is going to make sense to them, right? But if you buy a Blu-ray or a DVD or a 4K whatever, there's ads on that. You got to watch trailers. I mean, you can skip them.
No,
right?
Because now anymore you actually have to seek them out. I remember
seek out the trailers
with old VHS tapes, Blu-rays, and like the early, DVDs and the early Blu-rays. You had that 5-minute window at the beginning. Now they actually hide them in. It's usually under like a menu, like view upcoming things. What's going to get really irritating is when they try to like hide things in the games. Like say you're walking around
a monster can.
To me, that was more funny. Like we knew that was coming, but say I'm walking down the halls of the Ishimura and there's a TV monitor on my left playing Flex Seal ads or something like that.
I mean, Ubisoft did do this with the Rainbow Six and Splinter Cell games of the 360 era, and they would update them with new ads as well.
There you go.
That. So what you're describing has happened, but that at least it's if those were set in,
it fits the time period.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, if I see a Flex Seal ad in the Ishimura, that would definitely be distracting for sure. Unless it was somehow sci-fi'd up, then it might be just interesting.
Then I'm okay with it. Like you're building it into the narrative. But if you're just going to sit here and all of a sudden, like, give me the freaking sham wow guy, like slinging towels and stuff in the middle of my game,
slap chop.
Didn't he go to prison?
Yeah, he did. But I'm saying somebody like that, like all of a sudden distracting me in my game. Like, can you imagine in the middle of a boss fight something like that happens? Especially like in a Soul style game where you're like hitting that rhythm.
I'm with Zack. There's no way they're going to do that.
Yes, but I could see a free-to-play Souls-like where you die in a boss, and it's like, well, you can just respawn right now if you watch the 30-second ad.
There you go.
And in that case, I'd watch that ad, man.
Now you're taking the challenge away.
You still got to fight the boss. You just get to do it right away instead of having to trudge all the way back.
Yeah, but wasn't that like the point of Souls games? Like, it just pisses me off.
Yeah, but you're getting mad prematurely. That's my thing.
Yeah, they're just in test market phase.
I booted up Smite a couple weeks ago because I had a little bit of an itch to play a MOBA, and that game's already advertised to hell. So I could see these guys just blasting ads all over the place. But I think EA, they've been through the ringer. I think they know to play it a little bit smarter, especially because they're kind of in gamers' good graces right now. I think they're going to play it well.
I don't think you guys realize how much I hate ads. Like, well, I got rid of cable.
How do you not have YouTube Premium? Get on that.
Yeah.
Because I already have like the Hulu Premium and the other ones, so I don't have to watch the ads. I pay for Spotify Premium, so I don't have to listen to ads.
So
like, I hate.
So why do you listen to music on YouTube then if you have Spotify?
Because sometimes I like to watch the video, man. Nothing's better than watching old school boy bands with their dances and listening to the music.
Still on MTV.
Yeah.
Well, bowling for soup action right there.
Hey, like that. What about you, Scott?
We got to talk about Kojima just because I don't know what to think of this. So Kojima is talking to Microsoft, and apparently a letter of intent has been signed, which is it. There's nothing officially happening yet. It's just like, hey, we actually mean business. So it seems like it's kind of a big deal. And they're talking about the possibility of Kojima producing a new game, would be a new IP for Microsoft. But it's not a pitch from there's no pitch from Kojima Productions yet. They're just basically saying, here you go. We trust you. We know you. We recognize the name. We haven't even seen anything yet. We want to do business with you. Which, who else can do that kind of clout besides someone like Kojima?
Well, Kojima, he already did it with Sony with Death Stranding. They gave him seed money to start his studio.
Right.
Yeah, like this guy gets to do
doesn't
what
this
he
feel like a
wants.
slap in the face then if he goes and makes something with Microsoft?
Unless he's also making something for Sony.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
So he's making something at the same time? I mean,
there's nothing that says Kojima can't make 2 games at once.
I mean, he's already got Blue Box making something for him, right?
Exactly. I was going to say, you get a Silent Hill for PlayStation. You knock out some military thing for Xbox. Kojima times 2, baby.
It does make an interesting thing. For all we know, it could just be a timed exclusive.
It could.
Just like, oh, we're redoing the original Metal Gear 1 and 2, and it's going to start on Xbox for 6 months and then go to PlayStation.
Man, I would play the crap out of the original Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 if it were on Xbox. I would play that again in a heartbeat.
I would have full-blown guessed Blue Point's next remake would have been Metal Gear Solid, but now that they're owned by Sony, now that they will be owned by Sony, I think that less.
Yeah. What's funny to me is how, I mean, it was expected, but how angry some of the Sony fanboys got. They actually started a petition to like cancel Kojima for like switching sides or whatever, which it's
business.
It's business, and I feel like I wouldn't be that way if, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to listen, Xbox luminary here.
I mean, it would have been what's his name? He's with Diablo now.
It would be what if Todd Howard left right now to go make a Sony game?
That's the first thing I thought was Todd Howard, but I figured that was too recent to really be an impact.
The guy who made wow, I'm all of a sudden drawing a blank.
Peter Molyneux.
Well, I was going to say the lead of Gears.
That's what I was saying. He's now doing Diablo 4, isn't he?
Rod Ferguson.
Yeah, Rod Ferguson. Thank you. I could not remember the name. But did Microsoft say let's go cancel Rod Ferguson because he's making Diablo 4 now?
No, but Rod Ferguson is not Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, I know, but it's hard to come up with.
Who is? I guess
there's no apples to apples comparison.
Well, I mean, the last Kojima game before Death Stranding was Metal Gear 5. That was on both platforms.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, Sony got one Kojima exclusive recently.
Right.
And now he's like, you know what? I'm going to see if the grass is greener on the other side. And who's to say that it's not even like he's not done just making Sony exclusives. He's making one game for Microsoft, and people are losing their mind.
Well, like when I looked at it, there was something like 500 signatures, so it's not like it's getting any traction. But
it's just like sports fans, right? Whoever is the biggest, most winningest team has the most annoying, whiniest fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a truism of things. And I think PlayStation is the patriots of console manufacturers.
Can we also talk about Bloober? Speaking of, I know it's somewhat related because Konami, Kojima, and all that, but Bloober team and Konami teaming up.
Well, I think these stories are more linked than you would think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Bloober team has inked a deal with Konami to resurrect a storied IP, and since Bloober has only made horror games for about the past 8 years, and Konami has a pretty historic horror IP, it doesn't really take a lot to connect the dots there. Although it would be really funny if Bloober came out and like, we're making the next Castlevania, and just really mess with everybody.
That would be hilarious.
That would be delightful.
Slight horror,
and there is a little bit of a connection because Akira Yamaoka, who did the music for the Silent Hill franchise, also did the music for The Medium, which was Bloober's most recent game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it seems pretty obvious, right?
Didn't he say something that made it sound like he was talking about Silent Hill, and he kind of pulled it back or something in an interview?
Yamaoka said, the next project I'm involved in will make my longtime fans very pleased.
There you
Which
go.
sounds like, hey, I'm making some music for Silent Hill. The thing I'm known for. Like, unless he's going to whip up a Shadows of the Dam sequel, you know? I mean, he did do the music for that, too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I would play a Shadows of the Dam sequel.
Absolutely. We got a quote here from Hideki Hayakawa, who says, "We've been providing unique entertainment, content, and ways to enjoy through the use of information technology. In the digital entertainment industry, significant changes in the business environment are expected in the future. We look forward to combining Bloober teams and our respective characteristics and strengths to create high-quality content." So it sounds like Konami is getting in hard on video game development again. Well, I will say, the same source, Video Games Chronicles, who said this deal was going to happen a few weeks ago, also said that there is another prominent Japanese developer who's also involved in a Silent Hill relaunch that is separate. So there might be 2 Silent Hill games in the works. That would be insane.
Or it's just another franchise.
I know you guys talked about like how
that's true.
Dead Space may not needed to be remade. The original Silent Hill is begging for a remake. Like, imagine what that game could be.
You're right. That would be the smartest way to get back to Silent Hill, is like, here's a remake of the first one, and here's the next one.
Yep. Doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
That would be really smart.
Or within like 2 months of each other or something like that.
I mean, there's other Konami franchises that I would be excited for them to bring back.
Would it be hysterical if Bloober is making the next Metal Gear Solid?
I'd be more for a Contra.
Contra?
Or bring back
Blades of Steel.
The Suikoden series.
Oh man, was that Konami?
That was Konami, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are other big Japanese franchises that have been long defunct.
Dude, Konami used to be hitmakers. What I find funny about Bloober Team is that they're such an average studio, right? Like, they made the Medium and Layers of Fear were relatively well received, but then Observer had a bit more mix. And then I don't know if you guys remember the game Basement Crawl that they put out near the launch of PS4. It was so buggy that it had to be pulled from the store, and it was like bricking people's PS4s and stuff. They made that game too. But so I mean, they've been all over the board over at Bloober. I'm
looking.
What cracks me up?
I'm just looking through to see what other Konami games are on here.
There's a big one for Scott.
Oh,
Sunset Riders.
That'd be cool, a little Western. Anyway, I just want to say what cracks me up about people kind of getting upset about this announcement, because Bloober is such an average team, but like, Silent Hill was a pretty average franchise for a very long time until PT came along and kind of reignited everyone's excitement.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I didn't even play the remake. I didn't even play 2 and 3 until they like re-released it on 360. Like, I played the original one like crazy.
Yeah.
And I know everybody else loved 2 and 3.
And there wasn't one that was universally praised since 3, which was a PS2 game.
It makes me sad that your PlayStation died, Scott, because that's the only Silent Hill I don't have now is PT.
Yeah. I wonder if I could just get it back. I need to just get it back and be like, it's still here. Like, I still technically have it.
I still have PT. Nothing, just bragging, no problem.
Yeah, your PS4 is making a bunch of noises though. It's gonna be dying here pretty soon.
Going the way of the dodo.
Well, that was a lot of news to cover this week.
Right. We didn't even talk about Ghost of Tsushima getting an expansion. That's how much news there was.
Yeah, which, I mean, real quick, $70. Really?
$10 upgrade fee. Really?
And that's only if you had that's if you bought the director's cut. You still have to pay the. I
mean, it's so complicated, this upgrade, that you have 4 different bullet points with pricing situations because it's so convoluted to upgrade. It's just absurd. But hey, there's a new island coming to Ghost of Tsushima. I think way too late. Although, hey, quick jump back to that Legends mode. The best thing they do is they teach you how to play the game again right up the front.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
That's cool.
Why do games not do that more often?
I don't know. Like, at least make it optional. Like, would you like a refresher? It's been 3 months since you played this game.
Open world games, this should be a requirement. Hey, I noticed it's been 3 months since you played. Do you need a refresher? And you go, hell yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I can't believe Sony's still charging $10 for certain upgrades. It's just disgusting. Money grubbing bastards.
I mean, if there's new content, that's like buying DLC.
But DLC.
I know the DLC is $20, but then even if you buy the DLC at $20, you still have to pay an extra $10 to move that over to PS5.
That's just
because I was looking at the PS4 original to the PS5 Director's Cut is $29.99.
Yeah, they see the cost in there. That's messed up. When every other publisher is doing it for free, where do you get off?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Honestly,
that makes me just kind of want to skip it, to be honest with you. There's so much other stuff to play.
Sony needs to officially change their tagline. Man. Sony's new tagline needs to be, yes, we're better than you.
I really do want to get the Director's Cut version just because I want to see, because I played a lot of Ghost of Tsushima. I thought that game was gorgeous. I want to see what can you do to make this game even more gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to. I think you just play the PS4 version on your PS5. It'd probably be great.
It probably would be fine.
Who knew smart delivery was going to be such a savior? I can't believe this.
I know. It was something that was almost like an afterthought when they talked about it. Like when they first announced it. Oh yeah, by the way, the smart delivery, we didn't really understand it. And they could have just said, it just means that you can play everything on your new console with it. No worries. Just don't worry about it.
It means we'll figure out which version to download you. Like it shouldn't be that hard.
Until they patch it out.
All right, real quick, before we get to the new games that we've been playing, because I'm very excited to talk about a couple games, I just want to remind everybody about our Patreon. We have a Patreon where we ask for help from you guys to help pay for the show. And all 3 new episodes, I think Zach talked about it last week, but our Friends Trivia episode is live, as is our Nier Replicant spoiler cast, not to be confused with Nier Automata, which I typoed when I posted that. And also our discussion of games where we struggle to review them because they're not for us. They are some fun episodes to listen to, and if you were interested in any of this at all, be sure to head over to patreon.com/thegocast and consider contributing to us. We really do appreciate the help, and helps pay for the show and helps us fund some giveaways for you guys as well. Let's go ahead now and jump into the games we've actually been playing. The list is looking pretty slim this week, CB or Zach. Do we get some catch up this week?
I mean, I think you can. There's probably something exciting in here for certain people, but A Plague Tale: Innocence comes to PS5, gets ported up to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, and gets ported down. Gets ported down to the Nintendo Switch July 6th. That's interesting because if you go back, I remember seeing the E3 demo for A Plague Tale: Innocence, and they said it would be absolutely impossible to run on the Switch. So that was a lie.
Yeah.
Long-running action RPG franchise Ys gets its ninth entry with Ys 9 Monstrum Nox coming to Switch and PC July 6th.
That was the first time I realized that it was called Ys. I always thought it was Wise.
Yes, it took me until the Vita game came out, which was Ys 8, to learn that it was Ys. Grasshopper Manufacturer's new game, The Silver Case 2425, comes to Switch July 6th. Speaking of Suda51 and Shadows of the Damned. Brand new VR game, CB, listen up. Sam & Max, this time it's virtual, coming to the Quest July 8th. You don't care like he does.
No, you really don't.
I really don't.
Heart of the Woods comes to Nintendo Switch July 8th. The often discussed at E3, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin finally comes to Switch and PC July 9th. If E3 is anything to go by, this must be the most look forward to game ever, because it was all over that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sword of Legends Online finally comes to PC July 9th. I'm excited about this one because I don't have to get any more press release emails about it, because they have been 3 times a week in my inbox for about 4 years
too,
now.
Huh?
Yeah, they really wanted us to know this game was coming. And there it is. It actually looks pretty cool. It's like a Chinese, almost martial arts, wire fu kind of MMO. It sounds and looks cool, but it ain't on console, so I ain't playing it. What are you guys playing from this list?
I might jump back into Plague Tale: Innocence because I never finished it. And if I get to upgrade for free, right, on Xbox?
Yeah, so, I think you also get to upgrade for free on PS5 as well because it's not published by Sony. The greedy little munchkins.
Munchkins. CB?
I mean, if anything, I might play A Plague Tale: Innocence again, but I got so much stuff to get caught up on.
Yeah, me too. You got stuff to catch up on. I got to play Assassin's Creed and Mass Effect.
That's a lot of Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Still got to finish Song of Horror, man.
Yeah, you do.
See, yeah, I would also. I don't have your fancy next gen consoles, but something about that Plague Tale Requiem trailer really does make you want to go back through Plague Tale Innocence.
Yep. It makes me want to finish it.
I want you to see the ending.
It's wild,
dude. I need you to see the ending. Like you need me to see the Far Cry 5 ending. I need you to see the Plague Tale Innocence ending.
Well, your move, sucker.
Okay.
you do that, and maybe I'll follow suit.
Right.
Look at him scratch his head. All right, I'll play a video game.
I'll think about it.
Well, speaking of playing video games, Scott.
Yes, sir.
You got to tell me about this game Super Magbot, because it's got quite possibly one of the strangest mechanics that I don't think is really a mechanic.
What do you mean it's not really a mechanic?
Well, first explain, and then I will rebuttal.
Okay, so Super Magbot is a game where you play as a robot that has a magnetic ability, not only to attract himself to magnets, but also to repel against them. So the way that this game works is the world is littered with red and blue bricks along the way. And by the way, there is a colorblind mode, Zach, just so you're aware.
That's very exciting.
I actually looked into it specifically thinking of you to see if there was. I was like, man, this is because it's red and blue. Those are the two you can't tell apart, right?
I mean, a red green colorblind, but yeah. But if it was, yeah. I mean, I still appreciate you looking out, though.
Oh, yeah. I actually put it in my review that there is a colorblind mode. I sought it out. But anyway, so there are these strategically placed red and blue bricks, and then you have a dial that you control with the right stick on this. I'm playing on the Switch. That you point. It basically controls a. Think of like if the robot were holding a wand, and whatever direction you point it in is whatever direction he points this yellow lightsaber, let's say, and you have to point that in the direction of the corresponding color and either press red or blue. Red is on the right trigger and blue is on the left trigger. If you are trying to reach a red brick, you want to attract it with the blue brick because opposites attract and it will launch you forward. If you want to repel against a color, you would choose the same color. So if you're trying to repel against a red brick, you would repel by pressing the red magnet and shoot across. And you basically use that to progress through these, we'll say Celeste-style levels, in that they are like one screen to conquer before you get to the next one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the basic core mechanic. What was your...
Okay, because when I first watched this trailer, to me, they're like, oh yeah, there's no jumping. And when
there really isn't.
When I first looked at it, I'm like, to me, it looks more like it's just timed jumping. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you need to jump, like you're essentially jumping in this area.
What they mean by no jumping is that there's no jump button. You literally cannot jump from platform to platform. In order to quote unquote jump, you have to propel yourself against a magnet. And it is tricky to get down. So the first time I fired up this first world, I felt like I was not good at video games. I really was like, I cannot wrap my head around this because the position that you angle this like lightsaber thing really matters. Like whatever angle you're doing it will mark your trajectory for where you're going to go. So there really isn't a jump in that you're not jumping. You can't just press jump like you're used to doing in every other platformer.
Okay.
So they're correct in saying that it's a platformer without jumping. You're basically jumping, but you're using propulsion instead of jumping.
That's kind of how I looked at it. I'm like, you just renamed the jump and mapped it differently.
Kind of, sort of. I still think it's fair to say that there's no jumping. But
the moment you said that you can repel away from things, I'm like, okay, now it's making a little more sense. When I first watched the some of the trailer and gameplay footage, I didn't see that as much. Mm-hmm. But almost every single time that you're like pulling, using the magnets to like pull yourself forward.
Yeah.
I'm like, it just looks like you're jumping with a different style.
It looks like it, but I want you to get your hands on this game so you can actually feel what it's like, because
okay,
it makes you feel like you're learning how to play platformers all over again. Like when you were a kid and you're learning how to first play with Mario, and you can't get the timing down because we hadn't been doing it for 20 years like we have now. It's basically retraining yourself how to play a game. And I actually kind of like the challenge, but man, is this game tough. There are moments where you have to do a consecutive string of perfect platforming skills. Like you'll have to repel against this one and then draw yourself to this one and go through all this without getting. And if you get hit once, it's dead. You know what I mean? Now there are some ways that they've made it easier. Like you can do a checkpoint system, but I refuse to ever turn it on, just because I wanted the challenge. There is a way that you can make it so that your character just floats, which I don't even get how that's
super easy mode.
That seems, I didn't try it, so I can't really speak to it. But I refuse to turn any of it on and just played it, and it's satisfying. It's not as satisfying as like a Celeste, but I think part of that is because the story in Celeste was so compelling as I was going through it. The story here is a nice setup. They actually do a nice setup of setting up the world, but it's a giant asteroid that's eating planets. You know what I mean? It's not it's not Shakespeare, but it's perfectly fine. But it's tough. My issue with this game is not an issue with the game itself, it's me. And CB, you'll laugh at me because you know that I can't do the binary systems in video games.
Yeah.
I went over and played Ikaruga at CB's house, and I lasted, 20 minutes before I'm like, I can't do this. I just can't.
I don't even think it was that long.
There's something in my brain that I cannot keep track of which color I'm supposed to be. It's not that I can't see the colors. It's that there's something that doesn't connect to make me remember. And I kind of had that issue with this game. Again, it's a me problem, not the game problem. Because I have to remember, am I repelling against this one? Am I drawing against it? Is it the same color? Is it the backwards color? And you had to basically do it in succession. There's one boss. There are boss battles, by the way. There's one, and it's just basically like escape runs in Ori and the Blind Forest,
okay.
But all with this magnet mechanic. And there's one I had to have done at least 150 times, just because it was that frustrating. But when I finally got it, I was like, "Oh, thank God! I finally got it."
There's the one Ori boss where it's like the tunnel crawler.
Yes,
that's like that. I struggled with that too.
That was in the second one.
I am actually like really curious to get my hands on this game because I do love that like the binary system.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm going to see you on Thursday. I'll bring my Switch and I want you to try it from the beginning because I don't think you could. I literally don't think that you could start where I'm at and just be fine. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to learn how to play the game, and I want to see how you fare. Maybe I'm just really bad at games, and you're going to pick it up and make me look stupid. But it's really good. But it's challenging, and it's tough because the game looks cute. You know what I mean? It's got very bright and colorful, and it's got this cute little robot.
Looks very 16-bit.
It looks very 16-bit, and it is tough as nails, man. It is. I gather that some people are going to pick this up and never make it through the first world without throwing their controller through a window or something like that. But Super Magbot, I'm playing it on Switch, but it is on all other platforms as well. If you like a challenge and you like platforming and you like games like Celeste, it's worth a shot. I will say I don't like it as much as Celeste, and I don't normally like to compare it to that, but it's such a apt comparison because it's very similar game style. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Cool.
Not the only thing you played on your little trip, though, eh, Scott? You played Astalon Tears of the Earth, and you have been chatting this one up to me. This is an 8-bit side-scroller, right? But I'm going to use the word, I think, Bloodborne or Dark Souls in one of our texts due to the shortcuts, so you have my attention.
Okay, well, right off the bat, I want to say that off the bat that this is not Bloodborne or Dark Souls. I don't know if you've watched the trailer. It's definitely not that kind of game. This is yeah. But this game is making me understand why you like those games as much. If what they're doing in this game is what they do in those games. And I don't want to speak too soon, guys, but this game is near the top of my list right now for the games so far this year. That's a
hell of an impression.
This game is really good. I am thoroughly impressed with this game, and I'm only about a quarter of the way through it. I am in love with this game. The first thing I will say, and CB, I think this is where you're going to appreciate this, being a collector and you love retro games.
Mm-hmm.
Astalon Tears of the Earth, to me, looks and plays and feels like how we remember NES games playing when we were a kid. I mean, it looks like an NES game. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're playing as a kid and you play these games and you're just thinking like epic adventure and there's just all this cool stuff going on in the world. And then you play it 20 years later and you're like, the nostalgia's there, but I really see what that game is now. You know what I mean? It seems very shallow. Astalon Tears of the Earth is there's so many moving pieces and depth and sense of discovery in this game that you don't really gather from watching the trailer. So let me start. I didn't know this going in, but technically Astalon is a roguelike, which I didn't know. I thought this was just like a Metroidvania. It is a Metroidvania, but it's a Metroidvania roguelike.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. A gear-gated adventure. A gear-gated 2D adventure game.
Much better.
There you go. But it's a roguelike. So, and there's a story that goes along with it that describes why you're able to start over with a new life, basically, and it's actually pretty well done. It's kind of cool. The Tears of the Earth, by the way, is explained pretty early on in the game.
Oh, really?
It's kind of cool.
That's great. I mean, I just feel like most subtitles are useless and mean nothing.
No. I mean, it's basically a throwaway line of dialogue or like a note that you find somewhere on a dead body somewhere. But when they explain what it is, I was like, that's kind of cool. I don't know why they named the entire game after that, but it's really cool. All right, so the crux of not crux. That makes it sound negative. The pitch, if you will, is that there's 3 different characters you play as. You play as there's a wizard, and there is a knight, and then there's an archer. And you can swap between these 3 characters anytime you want to. Again, all 8-bit, 2D, gear-gated adventure game. And the catch is that you can only swap out members at campfires. Sound familiar? Campfires?
Indeed.
You know,
okay.
Right? You can also save your game at campfires. What's different, though, is that when you die, you don't start at the campfire. You start at the beginning of the game. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a long way to trudge back. And at the beginning, there is a lot to backtrack. But then all of a sudden, you'll find a hidden passageway, or you'll hit a button that opens this door that now makes that second portion of the world easily accessible. That are so cleverly designed. Dude, this is some of the most exquisite 2D game design I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's borderline brilliant. Like it's so hard to sell with a video, because the video just looks like a standard cheap little, 2D gear-gated. I got to figure out a quicker way to say that. Gear-gated 2D adventure game. But I am really loving this game. Zach, you'll like this. There's a couple bosses. I've finished about 3 or 4 different bosses so far. And it's all 8-bit, but when you fight the boss and you defeat it, it like leaves the shell of the boss there in the room. So when you go through it again, when you're traveling like on another run, on a subsequent run, that shell is always still there, and it kind of reminds you of that boss battle.
That's cool. That's good environmental storytelling.
It really is, and the fact that they pull that off with these 8-bit graphics is just really cool. That's what I mean, CB, when I say that it feels like a game that we played as kids, but with modern sensibilities. It's really good. It's the roguelike aspect portion of it comes in because you defeat enemies and you collect these orbs, and then you can cash in the orbs to do upgrades, but you actually have to upgrade each individual character separately, so each character has their own stats, so you're trying to keep those balanced as you go. And have to have...
That's a good way to incentivize playing as all of them.
Well, not only that, but you have to, because there's certain barriers that you come across in the environment that require... Like the archer girl is the only one that can do like a double jump, but it's not a double jump. She has to do it off of a platform, so she can like bounce off of a platform. She's the only one that can do that. The knight has a slide ability, and he's the only one that can cut through certain vines. The wizard has he has a staff that shoots fireballs, and you need that in order to activate certain. There's like these faces that have like a gem in them that he has to activate to open certain doors. So you're forced to use them throughout, but it's just so well done. I found my favorite character, and I always just use that character unless I had to use another one. But at the same time, you're still going to have to level up all the other characters as well, because at some point you're going to have to use them for certain bosses. It's just really cool.
I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say it's the archer.
It is the archer, yes. But it's also because of her agility. The range is nice as well. But the cool thing about the best part about this game is the sense of discovery you get, because a lot of reasons that people don't like roguelikes is because they don't feel like starting over. And they don't, but in this, you never start over. You're not starting from scratch. You keep all your stats the whole way. And even if you fail at a run, you still get some orbs that you may be able to cash in and get something else. So it always feels like you're having some success. But the beauty lies in, in games like this where you hit a wall, you just don't know where to go, right? You just feel like, I get stuck. I don't know where to go. All it takes is one tiny little thing that just opens up this whole sense of discovery, and you're like, and then you just can't put it down. It is a game that is scratching the one more run itch. It is scratching the gear-gated 2D adventure itch for me, and it's scratching that nostalgia itch all in one game. And I'm talking a ton of content. I've put about 10 hours in this game, and I've seen 25% of the map. The bosses are very reminiscent of NES games with their patterns, but you don't have any of that slowdown that you have with the NES. It's just like they've made an NES game how I remember NES games being in my head as a kid, and it's just so good.
Nice.
Astalon, Tears of the Earth. I'm playing it on Switch, but it is also on Xbox and PS4. So CB, if you do like it, you should try it on my Switch and see if you want to play it on one of those platforms as well, because it's real good. Everything just plays great. You get frustrated sometimes, but
who doesn't?
You just always go back and grind. You can just. I know that that doesn't sound like a selling point. Oh, you can just grind. But they do the grinding in interesting ways, because there's a bestiary. Is that the right word? Where you have like a list of all the enemies?
Yeah.
And each enemy that you find, or the first time you defeat an enemy, it winds up in your bestiary, and it has a certain number of times that you need to kill at. And once you kill it that certain number of times, you get an additional like 200 orbs the next time you go visit this dude at the beginning of the world. So you have an incentive to go through, and instead of just grinding for little orbs here and there, I've just sat and grinded. Whenever I get a new enemy, it says I got to kill it 12 times. I'll just do the kill it, go off the screen, come back on the screen, kill it again. You know what I mean? And that takes me like 4 minutes, and that's like really low level grinding. It's a joy to play. I'm absolutely loving this game. I can't wait to play it more after we're done recording tonight.
All right, cool.
That's a hell of a sales pitch.
So did I sell you on it, Zach?
I mean, you've intrigued me to look at it.
I was this close. I was this close to buying it on Switch and sending you a copy, just because, like,
you believe in this game that much.
Well, because of the I keep saying Bloodborne and Dark Souls, but again, this is not that in terms of combat at all. No, the comparison, and again, as a guy that hasn't played those games, but the sense of discovery and the interconnectedness of the world, and just like doing this to unlock this, and coming back to an area and being like, oh, I can get to this area so much easier now.
I mean, that is more my thing that I like about Bloodborne and Dark Souls than the difficulty is the world design.
Okay.
It's just so clever.
Now imagine doing that, but only in a 2D space.
That would be impressive to see pulled off, because Salt and Sanctuary tried, but I don't think it really succeeded in that aspect of that genre. But I mean, you definitely intrigued me, Scott.
I would be curious to see what either of you think of this game, because I am in love with this game, and I was kind of in love with it when I saw the trailer, but I thought it was a completely different game when I saw the trailer. I just thought it was just a regular old gear-gated 2D adventure game with some awesome metal music. By the way, there's no metal music in the game. But it's really good. Highly, Highly recommend Astalon, Tears of the Earth. Can't wait to play it some more. All right. That is it for the games we've been playing. Want to welcome some new Facebook members over at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. Say hello to Tim Church, Melissa Hughes, John Olson, and James Wilsey. Lots of good conversation going on over there. I try to keep it up to date with news best I can, even throw in some funny memes and conversation starters, and also show off some findings that I find when I'm on vacation at fine video game stores. I know CB does the same thing too. Also, our Discord is live and thriving. I don't have any new members this week, but please be sure to check that out. The link is in the show notes if you'd like to join the conversations over there. And we're going to be firing up some community game nights again here in the near future because it's been a while, and I want to do that again as well. Also, if you guys get a chance, please head over to wherever podcast app that you use to listen to this, drop us a review. I would really love to hear your thoughts on the show, and it helps us get the word out there about what we do and get some other listeners. Also, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. That has all of our content, including our episodes, as well as written content. My review of Mighty Goose is up there. You guys got to play that game. CB backed me up. That game is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alyssa's review of Tender Creature Comforts is up. Also, Chris Owen's review of Arkin, The Dog Adventure. And lastly, my review of Super Magbot is available for you if you'd like to read more about that and see the trailer. By the way, all the trailers for the games that we talk about today in our new game section, those trailers, there are links to them in the show notes. If you'd like to see what we're talking about, be sure to head to the show notes and check that out. Let's go ahead now and jump to our From the Outside In topic. It's the first episode of the month of July, and we love to kick off each month with community questions. As we do every month, we ask you, the Gaming Outsider community, to provide us with discussion questions that we can use as conversation starters on the episode. So here's what we've got from Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. Let's start with Facebook. Sean Coates, good old Sean Coates, by the way, he texted me today, said he got his copy of, oh boy, Alex Kidd. Is that the name of the game?
Yeah.
Alex Kidd?
Yep.
The DX, I think it is. He's going to be reviewing that for us. He got a copy. So he wanted to know, what are some of your favorite game franchises or series that debuted on 5th generation consoles? So this is where CB's going to call me out and say, actually, Scott, that didn't get reviewed or didn't get debuted on that console. But CB, let's start with you on that one.
There's big three for me.
Okay.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid and Siphon Filter.
Siphon Filter's one I had.
Metal Gear Solid's a little bit of a cheat, though, ain't it? Because it was Metal Gear, and Solid's a direct sequel.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that there's the very poor NES game and semi-sequel to it, Snake's Revenge.
Snake's Revenge, yeah.
Correct, but I'm just trying to appreciate
asleep.
the spirit of the question here.
Okay, here you go. I have a different one then. Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right. I have a feeling I know what Zack's is.
That's a lot of pressure.
No, not a pressure. I just want to see if I get it right.
On PS1, I mean, Resident Evil is a good obvious one. I don't know why, but I guess so. Is this like a franchise? Do you think the question is asking about a franchise that exists to this day?
No,
not necessarily.
Siphon Filter really doesn't exist to this day.
True. So one of my first thoughts was Brave Fencer Musashi. Because I just have a weird love for that first game. I never even played the sequel. The first game was just so quirky and weird, and you could collect action figures of all the characters. I remember, like, it was one of those side quests. Like, oh, that's just a dumb, fun game.
There's a copy of that game sitting at CB's house. I saw it when I was I was over there doing. We were covering E3 actually.
Yeah, I actually just picked that up this year.
Is that a price? Is it pricey now?
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. I really
wasn't that the one that had like the demo for Final Fantasy VIII in it or something?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I remember that. That's the only reason people bought that game, probably.
Yeah, I think I got that. N64 Turok came to mind.
That was on my list.
Yeah, that's a great little shooter franchise.
That game still holds up, by the way, man.
Love Banjo-Kazooie. Turok still holds up?
Yeah, it was on sale on PS4 the other day for like $5.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Next time it goes on sale for that price, just pick it up. It's still super fun.
I was certainly more of a Seeds of Evil guy, just because of the wacky dimension hopping nature of it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that works very well on modern franchises too. What is the game that you thought I was going to say?
Jet Force Gemini.
That's not it's one game.
Wasn't I guess that's to be a franchise or series. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I would also in the Saturn camp I would say Panzer Dragoon, but I'm also pretty new to that franchise because I only played that remake last year or whatever. But I loved it.
You want to know something funny? I've never played a Saturn game.
Oh, we'll fix that.
Not a single Saturn game.
CB, do you have Saga? New Panzer Dragoon Saga?
I wish. I have most of the other ones that like Zwei and
I think there's only two other ones. Oh, there's Orna
Didn't we see a copy of
Xbox.
Didn't we see a copy of it at VGS last year?
Yep. And I came real close to buying it.
How many hundreds of dollars was
now?
it?
Hundreds?
Hundreds of hundreds?
No. I think you need to add another 0.
Yikes.
So it's four digits?
It's in the 4 digits.
Yeah, I figured.
I had forgotten I got access to that game via the internet, and I should check that out sometime.
Yeah. That one hurts.
Turok was on my list for N64. PS1 for me is Twisted Metal.
That's good.
I know that's like a low-hanging fruit answer, but man, I played so much Twisted Metal 2 back in the day.
Like Tony Hawk isn't low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, I guess. But even like Twisted Metal Black on PS2, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And then they did the one on PS3 that I wanted to like so much, and I just didn't. I don't know. Maybe it was just over the genre at that point. But
did you all ever
just like Twisted Metal?
It was.
Yeah,
it was
just Twisted Metal.
It was all about online competitive play and stuff. But you guys ever mess around with Jade Cocoon? PS1 game?
I have Jade Cocoon.
That's a fun game,
2.
man. 2 I can't speak to, but that first one, it's like weirdly, it was like Pokemon but dark.
Yeah.
I will say there's a couple series on PS1 that I always wanted to get into, but I never did. Clock Tower was one. I always thought that series looked really cool. Just like the cover of the dude with like the giant scissors just covered in blood. As a kid, that just disturbed me.
I have 1 and 2. I cannot find 3.
Yeah. And Fatal Frame. And that was PS2, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I actually feel that that's maybe something we need to do a Patreon episode for.
Which one? Clock Tower?
Clock Tower, Obscure, Fatal Frame. Like, take a look at those
Maybe
series.
around Halloween.
Yeah.
Don't blow it all in one wad. Yeah, you can spread those out.
Yeah.
It's going to take a bit to go through the Fatal Frame trilogy.
Did we miss any? You guys good?
I think we're good.
All right.
Yeah.
Stefan Rombing on Discord said, what was the very first game you guys remember playing, either console or PC? Boy, that is hard to remember for certain, but I feel like it has to be Pac-Man. Like OG Pac-Man.
I remember my first PC, console, and arcade. First arcade game was Galaga.
Yeah.
First PC game was Oregon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
And first console game was Superman on the Atari 2600.
Ah, okay.
And it's a terrible game.
I think my first arcade game outside of Pac-Man, which seems like the easy answer, is Donkey Kong 3. Which I know is a weird answer, but I remember going to, this is my life, I was at a bar when I was a young tot, like really little, like my mom was there, and she sat me in front of a Donkey Kong 3 machine with no quarters, and I had to sit and watch. You ever do that when you were a kid? Like watch the computer play the game and like...
Oh, yeah.
Just drool, wish you had a quarter to try it?
I loved the old arcade games, just watching the demo screens.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. I would just sit and watch it. And if you're not familiar with Donkey Kong 3, that's a weird game. It's the one where if it's Mario or whatever, the carpenter is like spraying bugs with a bug sprayer. And
yeah.
It's like a super weird game. Console though. I mean, do you consider Atari? Yeah, Atari 2600 would be a console.
Gen 2.
Either E.T. or Star Raiders.
Star Raiders.
Remember not ever being able to figure out how to play Star Raiders.
Yeah, if you didn't have the overlay.
Yeah.
That's a tough one without the overlay.
That's a tough game even with it. That game just doesn't make any sense. But PC game, first game I ever played might have been Monkey Island. The original Monkey Island. Or whatever pinball game was like automatically on Windows.
Microsoft Pinball.
Yeah.
That's a space pinball.
Space pinball.
Yes. Space pinball, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Zach, what about you?
I certainly don't remember an arcade game I played. For PC, I can almost say with confidence that it is Jez Ball. Let me enunciate correctly.
Yes.
Which I know I mentioned.
Conversation before.
Yes, I have to be careful pronouncing that. In terms of console, I think I can narrow it down to 3. It would either be Outlaw on the 2600.
All right.
Or Pac-Man 2 on the Super Nintendo. That's the adventure, almost point and clicky one, right? Because my Uncle Jeff was obsessed with that. Or there was I think it was an NES racing game, but when you pulled into the pit stop, you had to play as the pit crew who changed the tires and worked on the cars and everything.
Wasn't that Bill Elliott's NASCAR?
It's quite possible because it was my stepdad's console and he loved NASCAR to death. And if you have given me the name of the game, CB, a lifelong mystery will be solved because I have asked so many people what game this is. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but I would say almost certainly that was the first video game I played because I was just transfixed with the idea that you were both the racer and the pit crew. It was just so cool to me for some reason. It probably felt so realistic, at the time.
It is. I'm almost positive it's Bill Elliott's NASCAR challenge.
I'm going to YouTube that after this, and I will give you a kiss right on your head if you're right about that.
Because you specifically said it's on the NES, right?
Yes, definitely.
I'm almost positive.
All right. I'm going to check it out.
This makes for great radio, but can you see? Does that screenshot look familiar at all?
It does look familiar.
That would be amazing if we just solved a lifelong mystery for you.
We'll have to wait until after the episode because this is radio after all.
I'm excited now. I'm really excited. Next question comes from Kevin Honingford. Which game do you wish had more or any memorabilia and collectibles that you could decorate your place with? I have loads of Sonic stuff, but nothing exists for Swords of Vermilion. If it did, all my money would be thrown at it. This is a great question. Zach, let's start with you.
Oh boy. I mean, Kevin, I feel you somewhat on the Sword of Vermilion thing just because insert bleep here, but Nier Gestalt and Replicant did not have anything for so many years that I was a fan. And then it was there was an occasional thing here or there after Automata came out. But now we're flush with it, man, and I want it all. The Square Enix store is selling jigsaw puzzles of Nier Replicant. It's insane. They're going all out, and I can't believe I live in a world where these characters are finally getting the love that they demand. So I feel you there. That would have been my answer.
You want.
I was gonna say that would have been my answer even 8 months ago. It's so recent. So. But in terms of a franchise I wish had a bunch of merch, I think I would say Splinter Cell. Because they've done action figures here or there, but I just love Sam Fisher to absolute death that I wish there were, cool statues and stuff of Sam or Grimm or whomever. I mean, I do have one Sam Fisher action figure, and I think it was a Nika figure, but it's just, I wish there was more.
I'm still mad that I didn't grab the Sam Fisher goggles for you.
I was going to say, didn't they do night vision goggles?
They might. He said, "Do you wish had more?" I wish there was more. I really wish there was a statue because I'm a big statue guy, and I would love to have a Splinter Cell statue. That would be pretty cool. I'm finally seeing. Okay, for another great piece of radio. Scott has shown me a screenshot of Bill Elliott NES, and that is the game that I have been seeking for my entire life. And now I have to buy an overpriced physical copy of this game at some point.
Oh, no. It's not overpriced. I can get you one for $1.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Because that is nostalgia incarnate right there.
You know what? I might actually have an extra copy of it. Like this is why you need to ask me NES questions, because I'm pretty sure that was Bill Elliott's NASCAR challenge.
I mean, that's uncanny, man. I think that. Thank you for solving this. I've asked so many people, and they're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Bill Elliott's NASCAR challenge. Okay, how do you know who Bill Elliott is?
He's an old NASCAR driver.
I mean, he must be, right? But
yep, there you go. Gotcha.
He's the guy who made DuckTales.
Bill Elliott, creator of Sid Meier's Civilization. You know what? I'm sorry. I just wanted 2 other franchises I think would be really cool to have merch for. Is either Advent Rising, which would not have done well because the game bombed so horrendously, but I really think Parasite Eve could have a cool line of action figures and memorabilia.
Did you say Parasite Eve?
Parasite Eve, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be, because there's some crazy creature designs there and stuff, and Aya Brea, I think, she's one of the OG female leads, does not get the respect she deserves.
Speaking of horror franchises that need to be rebooted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, especially if they actually committed to the horror RPG thing and then just redid it as it was. That would be a stunner. Absolutely.
Isn't that the one that had the grid dome? For the
it was
the area of effect or whatever?
It was like a turn-based survival horror game. Yeah, it popped up that combat dome and you had to move Aya away from the enemies and pop off shots and stuff, but then they would have their turn. It was so clever, and they dropped it as soon as the second game. They only had that one game that did it, and it was just so brilliant.
And what an iconic opening scene, too, in the Opera House.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Just so good.
Eve sets everybody on fire. You're right. That game needs a remake and some action figures and statues.
I agree. Did you think of one, CB?
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay.
I want some of the older Resident Evil stuff. I want more models of the early stuff, like Barry and those, because it was only ever Chris Redfield, Jill. I want the side characters. Some of those older ones. Some of the old Japanese RPGs. I would love to see Legend of Dragoon. Those models. I have a severe love for those. But I mean, I'm always down for more Fallout stuff.
He's got 2 of the helmets and he doesn't have enough.
I want a full power suit, man.
By the way, they put Skyrim on Switch. Why can't they put Fallout 3 on Switch?
I don't know. I want that too.
Oh man,
I would eat that up. I can't even lie to myself. I would buy that immediately.
Yeah.
Not the Lone Wonder, the Courier.
Yeah, New Vegas.
From New Vegas. I want that helmet from the New Vegas cover.
Okay.
Because
does it exist?
That is no. It makes me so mad because that is my favorite helmet and face piece from all of Fallout.
I think I'm gonna have to replay New Vegas because I've played Fallout 3 to death. You guys talking about I was replaying it recently and I'm still really enjoying it. But I've got all the achievements. I really do. Actually, I have the Xbox One version. I don't know if it has the same achievements. Wait a minute. There's an Xbox One version?
Yeah.
Of Fallout 3 or New Vegas?
Of Fallout New Vegas. It's a Fallout. I think it's Fallout New Vegas. It is.
I know they put out it was a hybrid disc where it was a 360 and Xbox One version, which they did for Red Dead Redemption as well. But you know what, man? Maybe we should commit as a group to playing New Vegas at some point, right? Like that. The only way we're all going to play New Vegas is if we do it together.
That's probably a good point.
Yeah,
that one's not as long as 3, is it?
No. But it's the Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, so it has all the DLCs and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I wonder if it's like some of the other games where if you played like the Ultimate Edition, it just redid all of the achievements.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
I may boot this up later and I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know for sure. For me, I took his question as like ones that didn't exist. I wasn't thinking of ones that exist that I just don't collect or wish I did have my collection. So I'm going to kind of do a two-parter. For ones that do exist, I don't know anything Mega Man X. And I think Mega Man X figures that I see pop up on Twitter and stuff just look really cool. Like I was obsessed with the Mega Man X series. The bosses, Sigma, X himself, I just like it was just a very cool looking series. So that'd probably be with like if I were gonna decorate something, I want to get that, or even like the original Mega Man, like Mega Man and the robot bosses. Like there's just something really cool about those. But you know, I'm just trying to stick to Zelda for, and that's not even really like for decorating, right? I just need to turn my classroom into like my video game decoration den, don't I?
Yeah.
I've got all the amiibos in there right now.
I'd be so worried about kids destroying them.
Well, I'm not talking about like really expensive stuff.
Actually,
but.
You know what? I'm going to throw one more out there because I know for a fact that none of this exists, and Zach would appreciate it. Shadow of the Colossus. I want the Colossuses done as statues.
That's actually a really cool idea.
That'd be a very expensive line of
I
statues.
Don't care.
No, yeah, it would be cool.
It would be gorgeous.
Awesome.
It'd be a lot of detail, especially if you like put like imagine if they made statues but they put fur on them. You know how there's like patches of fur on those?
Yeah.
That could be really cool.
It would be cool if every one of the statues had like a tiny little wander on it.
Oh yeah, it's like hidden somewhere, like a little Easter egg spot.
He's just climbing up somewhere on the statue. That'd be cool.
Like a Where's Waldo? Like you just got to find out where he is.
Where's Wander?
That'd be pretty cool. As for ones that don't exist, that was tougher for me because I feel like I tend to gravitate towards series that are pretty popular.
Man, what a basic gamer he is, you know?
I know. But was there anything for Ghost of Tsushima? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
There's no,
there's a mask.
You know, and then the PlayStation has its own store where they do a lot of cool stuff. Like Bloodborne's got a lot of statues there, and I guess Tsushima did as well. But I don't know, like as of like widely available, I think I know they did a Funko Pop of Jin, but I think that's really the only thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the mask is cool and all, but I would like just Jin was a cool character. Like he just all around was cool.
Yes.
Only
got cooler as the game went too.
Yeah. Or Aloy there had to have been an Aloy action figure.
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah.
They're not missing out on Horizon money.
I don't have any of the Aloy ones, but
no.
I've actually seen the big like T-Rex one. Like they actually did a full statue of that.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Jordan Derringer High. Given the recent announcement of the Final Fantasy IX animated series, which I'm super excited for, what specific game in a series do you wish was getting this treatment? For example, you can't just say Mario, you have to say specifically Super Mario World. And what is it about that specific title that you think would make a better series or movie than the other games in the series? In fairness, I'll give mine too. I think Jak and Daxter would make a fun animated series, but more specifically Jak 2. I'm picturing a series with the same tone as the old Gargoyles animated series for that one. What do you guys think?
Love you, Jordan, for saying Gargoyles, because I loved that show.
A lot of people. It's on Disney Plus now. Did you know that?
I know. I've rewatched it recently.
I didn't watch it as a kid. Was it allowed?
Of course.
Sadness.
Zach, what do you think? What series would you like to see get the animated treatment?
Well, that's tough. This is a tough question. Mm-hmm. Right away, my brain went to Arkham City, but I feel like that's a little bit cheating because it's Batman, right?
Yeah.
But I think that storyline specifically would work pretty well in a Gargoyle style animated series. But in terms of other ones, man, I think you gotta come back to me. I think I'm gonna use an Audible and send it over to CB.
All right.
All right, I got one just because it's a broken game. It did not function. Alien Colonial Marines.
Is it an animated series?
Here we go.
Yeah. I actually think, but I want it done in the same art style as Dead Space Aftermath.
Oh, okay.
Because I liked it.
See, I was gonna say Sly Cooper. I thought that would make a.
Which Sly Cooper, Scott?
I don't remember which ones are which, so I can't. I guess I have to come up with something different, right? Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you which one is which. Ratchet and Clank seems like an easy answer, but that's already an animated movie.
It was, yeah. Yeah, they were supposed to do a Sly Cooper cartoon show that was ordered for 52 episodes right off the bat, and we haven't heard a peep since. So I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. No, I chose Alien Colonial Marines since the game was actually broken, and it didn't play right. So I'm like, it had a good hook, and I'm like, man, I actually think it could really work in same animated
Did they
style.
patch it? Because wasn't it like just one letter in the code or something?
They did late after everyone abandoned it.
So, like, if we went back and maybe that would be fun to go back and revisit and see if that game still is any fun.
I don't know if you can still download the patch for it, though.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it didn't exactly receive high praise. So.
Okay, I got one. You're going to think I'm crazy.
I got one too, actually. But
how about a Portal animated series?
Deal. Done.
But you make the companion cube talk.
No.
No?
Nope.
Because she's got. Is it just going to be
just GLaDOS? That's all I need.
That's all I need is GLaDOS.
Well, GLaDOS, Wheatley, and Cave Johnson.
Oh man!
But it has to be J.K. Simmons.
He's no stranger to animation, that's for sure.
That's true. He's in Invincible, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
which I still haven't watched.
Fantastic series.
I need to watch that.
It's pretty.
All
good.
right, Zach, what was yours?
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna say Fallout 3, and every episode could be one of the side quests because those side quests are top of the line.
They really are.
Yes, they're some of the best side quests.
Have either one of you ever watched the live action fan made series?
Yeah,
that is actually a surprisingly well done series.
It really was.
See, a live action TV show of a very specific game, I would have said Resistance 3, because that's like a road movie during the alien apocalypse. Basically, that's a pretty cool hook.
Resistance, is that Guerrilla?
That was Insomniac.
What's the series I'm thinking of that Guerrilla did?
Horizon? Killzone?
Shooter series. Killzone. I always get those two mixed up. Killzone and Resistance for some reason.
Yeah, I mean,
they're both.
Those are easy to mix up.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Drew Ross. He said, "What games have some of your favorite musical scores? Any you still listen to regularly?" CB, you were grinning real big over there
because you already know what my answer is.
Black Flag.
Yeah. AC Black Flag is like
he
right
still
up
plays
there.
those damn shanties. If I go to his house and like we put on music, he just puts on this, which is pretty funny. I still listen to the Celeste soundtrack regularly. Near Replicant, I've been listening to.
At least I didn't have to say it because that would definitely be on my list as well.
Yeah,
as well as its sequel, Automata, and Drakengard 3 is actually awesome as well.
Final Fantasy VII still, I think, is a great soundtrack, especially the remaster that they did for the remake game.
Yeah,
they just made every song better. Like they just really did. Uncharted, I always thought that theme was really good. I don't really know that I've paid attention to anything outside of the main theme. You know what I mean? Like when you watch Indiana Jones and you hear the dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
that's like all you really recognize. The background stuff you don't really pay attention to much, or at least I don't.
Well, John Williams scores things beautifully, so I actually do listen to a lot of that.
Well, I mean, I listen to them, but it's different for a movie to me than it is a game, because when I'm playing a game and I hear the music afterwards. I think of that specific part in the game. You know what I mean? Where like when you listen to some, I guess that happens to me in movies sometimes too. I watched Independence Day last night again for obvious reasons. I don't care. I love that movie. That movie's, you shut your mouth. That movie's great.
It is okay.
25 years ago that movie came out, by the way.
I know.
That's insane. But I used to listen to that soundtrack before I was allowed to watch the movie. I wanted to see the movie so bad I bought the soundtrack and listened to it over and over and over again. And so now when I hear songs in the movie, I remember listening to that track on the soundtrack. I don't know. I don't know.
I know one that you're missing immediately too. So,
well, Zelda.
I know.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, Portal
2 soundtrack is great.
I mean, right there.
I mean, and not just the like Still Alive, whatever goofy song that's played in the credits. Like the actual,
the music's great.
In-level music is outstanding. It's really good. Zach, did you have any?
Final Fantasy IX is probably the only one I listen to super regularly. I put that on when I'm writing a lot. Nice little background music. The other one, and this is going to sound weird, but that I listen to is Silent Hill 3. I think it's a very good soundtrack.
Nice.
That's not weird.
It's not like deeply unnerving to listen to either. It's just some good, light guitar, stringy music. Very good soundtrack. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, voice actress extraordinaire, does a vocal song at the beginning of that soundtrack. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I have to check that out.
Ooh, actually, you know what? Recently, for a long time, I was listening to The Last of Us 2 soundtrack.
Yes, Last of Us soundtracks are both very good too.
Yeah.
They're very moody. Like, not what you'd expect from... Like, at least in the first one, you just think about run away from zombies, but just very moody music. Really good stuff.
Take on me, man.
I understand that. Rob Matthew also he had actually posted this on Facebook. He said he basically just said music and games, and I'm like, well, can you elaborate? And he did a little bit. He said, I guess it's a pretty loaded question. I really love everything from the orchestral to the chiptune. Side note, highly recommend folks check out Banjo Guy Ollie. I'm not familiar with that guy, but he also said, and Smooth McGroove on the old YouTube. There are so many, but these guys knock it out of the park. And I wanted to read this because Smooth McGroove is fantastic. Do you know who that is, Zach?
No.
Are you familiar with Smooth? Okay, he's this guy that basically records himself doing a cappella of every individual part of certain songs, and then overlays them all on top of each other, Bobby McFerrin style. I don't know if you're probably too young to remember who Bobby McFerrin is.
I know what acapella is.
Well, yeah, but Bobby McFerrin used to like layer himself on top of himself.
Yeah,
and record a song.
Does a Smooth McGroove guy have like super long, straight hair?
Yeah.
Okay,
he has
then
a
I
black cat.
I think I am familiar with him.
Yeah, he does outstanding work. It's really, really good. I used to listen. He does a Metroid one that's fantastic, and the Ocarina of Time Village one. It just made me want to go back and play that game. So I want to make sure we gave Rob some love for his comment there as well. We had one more from Aaron Smirks. He said, "Are we tired of remasters and remakes yet? As in, wouldn't you much rather have new games?" Who would like to start there?
Well, I will. Oh, okay.
I'm somewhat getting burned out on the remakes and remasters train because I do want to see new IPs. However, there's always something wonderful about going back and revisiting happiness.
Mm-hmm. Good old happiness.
Just happiness.
I mean, the question is immediately ironic coming from a guy who hosts The Hollywood Outsider, which also seems to remake everything every fourth day. I feel like every new TV show announces a remake of a movie from yesteryear. But directly to games, no, not really, honestly. I mean, some of the remasters I think I am getting a little sick of, especially when they say like HD for a game that was already in HD.
Right.
It just screams a little bit of desperation.
Just got a new wrapper on it.
More HD.
Yeah, HD. Like, that would actually be funny if they did that. But in general, when it comes to remakes, though, like, lay it down right. Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII, Nier Replicant. These games all are fantastic games in their own right, especially like they make an old game playable again. Right. And they're not carbon copies, right? Unlike, and I'm not trying to take pot shots at movies specifically, so if Aaron's listening to this, you don't have to rip the cord out of your headphones. Or it's like when you watch a movie, you're watching it the same way that you would have 50 years ago, right? You sit down, you press play, and it plays out over a couple of hours. Video games are different because the technology is constantly improving, right? We didn't have standardized shooter controls when Resident Evil 2 came out, so remaking that in the modern era with the playability we're more comfortable with, that fundamentally changes that experience, and it brings it up to date. So absolutely, I have yet to be disappointed by one of these remakes, right? Like Final Fantasy VII directly it tackles remakes head on, right? Like, I don't want to spoil it, but it is aware of what it is and does interesting things because of that. And so I would say
there's still fun surprises coming for hardcore fans of Final Fantasy VII.
Right, or fans of Resident Evil 2, right? Like the remakes how Mr. X works, or Resident Evil 3, I guess, did change it more so than a lot of remakes, but it made its own little fun, action-packed experience. So, in my experience thus far with these remakes, they've pretty much been new games. You do get your Spyros or your Crashes that are aiming to be a one-to-one remake, but a lot of them feel like new games.
Right. And not only that, but just to go back to your movie comparison, you can just as easily not play them. Like, if you don't...
Right,
I mean, I'm not going to watch a remake that I'm not interested in. I'm not going to play a remake that I'm not interested in. But on the same token, if you've never played the original, then this remake is a new game for you. You know what I mean? And there is a huge number of people out there that have never played Dead Space, that have never played Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2.
Yeah,
Resident Evil 4.
I will interject with now obviously people are seeing how successful they are. They're getting a little money hungry, right? With Resident Evil 4 does not need a remake. You can just touch it up and port it up, and it would be fine. Dead Space definitely does not need a remake. That game is 100% playable and still plays very well. And this Last of Us remake we're getting that's almost laughable.
Yes, I will agree with you on that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for businesses making money. If I'm a business, I want to make money as well. You do what makes sense. People will. We sit here and say this, but people will buy a Last of Us remake.
Right. And that's not for, like, I can immediately see how you improve that game, right? You switch up the puzzles, you pace it a little bit better. Like, Last of Us definitely can be improved, but it's just not. You don't remake a movie. Well, I mean, I guess they do with, like, Spider-Man and stuff, but you don't have to remake something that's only 8 years old. You can just experience it with the flaws and all. I mean, come on, like. But I have yet to be disappointed by a remake.
I almost feel that there needs to be a time limit that needs to be placed. Like, if this game or movie or anything came out within the last 15 years, don't touch it. Unless it's, like, atrociously bad.
Right, yeah. And you know what doesn't need a remake? Morrowind. Let's get that going.
It does or does not?
Does, absolutely. That's the best Elder Scrolls setting, but it is difficult to go back and play.
Give me Daggerfall.
That's extreme. Deep cut.
Could you imagine going back and remaking a game like that, a game that size?
Daggerfall? You'd have to do it in parts like FF7.
Yeah.
But then that takes away from the whole point of a game like that, right? The open world nature of it.
I understand. But, I really wish, because movie companies are really good about putting all of their stuff in every format, right? Like, everything's getting ported to 4K, Ultra HD. I do wish game publishers were like that, where it's like, here's Brave Fencer Musashi. It's not going to be a modern experience, but here it's yours for $5.99. I really do wish publishers cared about preservation in any way, but they just don't.
Which is strange to me because that seems like easy money.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I agree. That's one of the reasons why we have the Panzer Dragoon problem. As
Right.
Zack's talked about it before, they lost the entire original source code because no one cared.
Unbelievable. But like with like PS1, you could slap an emulator into PS. You could make that an app that you download for free. Here's all these PS1 ROMs. They're $4.99 a piece. Like, why do they not do this?
Probably because of piracy. There's got to be a piracy issue somewhere in there.
I mean, I
I mean,
guess.
not if it's an actual ROM.
Yeah, on
Like
the PlayStation Store.
through the
is pretty
PlayStation
secure.
Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like the
I don't know.
like the SNES app on Switch, you know?
Because
Anyway.
they can't charge $50 for those games. So they're not interested. They're only interested in the big whales, right?
Sony, that's definitely Sony's strategy, yes.
And, you know, and then we sit here and say, man, just give that to us. And then we would never buy it. Like, I know you would buy Brave Fencer Musashi and play it for,
Right.
you know, you play that. But we would each buy maybe one game.
But
You know what I mean?
you say that, but think about was a Virtual Console. People poured hundreds of dollars into that thing.
Yeah. That's also Nintendo, though.
I mean, it's no different than Scott and how much money he's going to spend when the new Pinball FX comes out.
Right.
I'm not spending all that money.
It's easy to spend $5 on a piece of nostalgia than never actually play it than it is, you know?
Right.
Like that's just very easy to do at that price point.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, get me in the room, Sony.
And the whole thing about, you know, much rather have new games. Yes, I would much rather have new games, but there's so many new games. I'm not yearning, or there's not a new game drought ever.
Right, yeah.
There is so much stuff out there. It's impossible to keep up. I'm finding so many outstanding independent games that are just blowing me away. That are outstanding. I mean, if you're only looking for shooters, you know, then you're only interested in AAA shooters or AAA story-driven games. You know, those are going to be a little bit fewer and far between, especially because of the state of the world right now. But there's tons of stuff to play. It's juggling, but I still want to play remakes. You know, I don't even know what this Silent Hill, Dead Space thing is, and I'm actually with you, Zach. It probably doesn't need to be redone, but I'm still going to play it. It's just
right.
It's Dead Space. I'm going to play it. So, but that's just because I'm such a fan of that series. So, all right, that's it for questions this week. It was a lot of great ones. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. We really do appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for joining us on this episode of the Gaming Outsider. It's going to do it for this episode. Zach, before we get out of here, do you have any parting words or suggestions for our listeners before we get out of here?
Phase 1, Wave 2 of Star Wars The High Republic has kicked off with The Rising Storm by Cavan Scott, and it is top-notch. I highly recommend. They just started this new era of Star Wars that is existing solely in like books and comics, and it's so good. It feels like exciting because characters can die, which they can't really do with most Star Wars books because they're sandwiched in between movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is 200 years for the Phantom Menace, and boy, it's good. You'll get a little Easter eggs. You know, here's Yoda here, but for the most part, it's brand new characters. The Jedi Order is what you would want it to be, where it's actually like understanding and accepting of emotions and stuff. You know, like one of the Jedi Masters like lost his cool and just murdered the hell out of an enemy, and they understand why he like lost. So like, hey, meditate on that, embrace that, learn why you got angry. It's just a fascinating view of like, I think we're going to see that slow movement into the dogmatism of the Jedi you see in the prequels. But it's dark. And the new villain Markian Rowe in only a handful of books is already impressive. Already stands up there with your Palpatines and your Vaders, your Mauls, like of
Wow.
Great Star Wars villains. He's unlike most of those villains, is very much like calm, cool, collected, walks into a room and everyone kind of holds their breath sort of dude. And it's good. It's good stuff.
Zack is so much fun to talk Star Wars with. I've actually been rewatching. I rewatched the original trilogy recently, and then I watched episode 3 over the weekend, and I was just texting him back and forth, just ideas, and why did this, just questions come up, and I just always text Zack and be like, what do you think of this? And then he gives this super thoughtful response. He's super knowledgeable of Star Wars, and it's great. I have a whole different view of the Jedi in the prequels than I did ever before. I was so consumed with just the transformation of Vader in 3, and now I'm just kind of looking at the infallibility of the Jedi in the prequels, because you kind of idolize them in the original trilogy as the stoic, super wise, never make mistakes kind of people, and they weren't that. They're actually I don't know.
But they thought they were, right? And that was the problem.
Gray Jedi for life.
Gray Jedi is an interesting concept. Cool. If you like Gray Jedi, there is definitely a character or two in the High Republic that is trying to make that case for sure. There is a Jedi in this book who is just straight up a Witcher. She calls herself a saber for hire. She just goes to planets. What monster you need taken down? Here's what I need as payment, and just goes off and hunts down these monsters. Friggin' awesome.
I like it.
That is cool. CB, what about you?
Man, I'm kind of all over the place. A little bit of comics, a little bit of books, but I'm finally getting around to listening to the Thrawn audiobook.
Yeah, back to Star Wars, baby.
So between that and then I actually just picked up issue 4 of Marvel Alien.
Oh, yeah.
And that series is still phenomenal.
I am surprised that as a comic Marvel is publishing based on its gore level.
It is. Wow.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
Does not look Disney approved to me.
No, not at all. It almost feels like Dark Horse.
Yes. It feels like they squeaking it past them somehow.
Yeah. Between that and then I'm also... Zach and I have talked about it before, but I'm finally getting around to catching up on The King in Black.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Great.
It's another comic series. It's essentially the quasi backstory of dealing with the symbiotes.
Yes, it is. A lot of Venom stuff. They're really expanding the Venom mythos and separating it from Spider-Man. And they succeed by the end of that. You will... my brain no longer associates Venom with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they do a very good job of you understanding why, of giving him his own corner of the Marvel Universe.
Gotcha. Okay. I got a recommendation, a music recommendation, actually. One of our listeners, a good buddy of mine, his name is Kyle Boggs, has a band out in LA called Pistol Beauty, and they dropped their new album on this past Friday, July 2nd. The album is called In Your Dreams. It's got 8 songs on it. And I've listened through it several times, and I'm really digging it. It is, it's not like death metal or anything. I know you guys aren't into the real heavy stuff like I am. I'm also not going to call it punk, but it's almost like a mixture between punk and dirty rock. And the lead singer sounds like, and this sounds like I'm being negative when I say this, but the lead singer sounds like the singer from Avenged Sevenfold trying to sound a little like Axl Rose. If that makes sense.
Okay.
I don't mean that to sound in a negative way. I really kind of enjoy it. So, Pistol Beauty, the new album is called In Your Dreams. I am really, really digging it. It's pretty good. They've even got music videos, which is awesome. So, Kyle is the drummer for the band. So check that out. Anyway, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening. I want to remind you, as always, that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website, again, is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.